It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on this video, which is part of NISM-Series-XXI-B Portfolio Manager Certification Examination. I have prepared this video on chapter 15, which is Introduction to Modern Portfolio Theory. And in this video, I have incorporated 10 quiz questions, which I'm sure will help you to prepare for examination in a better way. I will be taking you through these questions one by one. You can practice this parallelly so that you are prepared to write or prepared to work on these questions successfully in the exam. So let me start with the first question, which is related to certainty equivalent rate, which is one of the key concepts in the portfolio theory. So this question is, which of the following statement is not true about certainty equivalent rate? And there are four options, as you can see here. The first statement is certainty equivalent rate is the rate that a risky investment has to offer to be equally attractive with the risk-free investment. This statement obviously is true because you are comparing two portfolios, one risky, one risk-free, and they have to be made equally attractive. So certainty equivalent rate provides that linkage here. A highly risk-averse investor may assign a risky portfolio with CER below the risk-free rate of return and reject investments into risky portfolio, which is obvious, because if I'm a risk averse investor, I will not like to take risk, and I may assign uh, a CER below the risk free rate and reject it. A less risk averse investor may assign a higher CER and may accept the same risky portfolio, which also appears to be apparently correct. So the last statement, which is certainty equivalent rate helps in maximizing investment return, is incorrect. Okay, so the answer is D for this. Let us move to question 2. And in this question, what I have done is that I have worked on a calculation to help you understand. So the answer has been apparently given in the slide only. So let me share it with you. This question is that a fund manager invested 15% and 85% of the funds in stock A and B. Okay, they are expected to generate ex ante return of 21.7% and 19.7% for the coming year. The risk of portfolio is 25%. What is the utility of this portfolio to the investor, and would she pick it if her risk aversion index is 5 and the risk-free rate of return is 6%? Now, to solve this particular problem, remember you need to be very well conversant with the formula which has been mentioned here. So how do you solve it? So the first step in the solution of this is to find out what is the portfolio return, and to find out the portfolio return you have to consider two things. What is the amount weightage which is there for each of the assets, so 15% and 85%, and then what is the return that has been given, so 21.7% as we can see here, and 19.7% for the second one. Then we multiply 15% with 21.7% and 85% with 19.70%. These will be the solution that we will get. Okay, and then you add both of them, and this amount that you are getting is your portfolio return. Okay, now portfolio return is one of the variables in the calculation. So this ER that you see here is taken as 20%. Then you have A, which is the risk averse index, which is 5, and sigma, which is given as 25 because sigma is available here. So you take sigma as 25, and then you work on this equation and you will get a solution which is 4.375, which is equivalent to 4.38, and the answer would be no here. Why it is no? Because the risk-free portfolio that we are referring to is giving a return of 6%. That's why the answer would be no, and I have already told you how to arrive at 4.38%. With this, let us move to the third question. The third question is, what is the expected return of the portfolio given the details below and equal investment done in both X and Y? So it's very clear that we are making equal investments in X and Y, which will become 50% and 50%. Equal is 1 by 2 basically in both of them. So what is the next step? Next step is that you multiply 0.3 with 20, 0.3 with 0.3 with, or 0.3 with 13, 0.4 with 8. You do it for Y also, and then whatever you get, you add both of them. Okay, 0.3 into 20, 0.3 into 13, 0.4 into 8. You will get three values. You add all the three. Similarly, you do the exercise with 0.3 multiplied by 22, 0.3 multiplied by 10, and 0.4 multiplied by 15. So you will get some values, you sum both of them, and after you have got the summed up return for both x and y, then multiply it with 50% and 50%, and you will get an answer, and that answer will be 14.35%. So this is how you arrive at the answer. This is the question 3. I hope it is making sense for all of you. Let us move to the next question, which is which of the following factors does not affect portfolio risk as per portfolio theory? So weights of investment are very critical as per portfolio theory. Risk of investments are also important, and so is co-movement between the investments. So quality of stocks, while it may matter, in day-to-day life, practically, if from the portfolio theory perspective, it has got no sense or meaning. Okay, so that's the answer. Answer would be D here. We move on to the next question. In which of the below mentioned scenario there would be least benefit of diversification? So when you are working on the diversification principle as per portfolio theory, it is the correlation between two assets that counts. Okay, and when correlation is equal to 1, then both the assets will offer the least benefit of diversification, because both the assets are moving in the same direction, and that's why there wouldn't be benefit to the investors. Now we move on to question 6, which is the blank or represents the set of portfolios that provide maximum rate of return for a given level of risk or minimum risk for a given level of return. So that's called as the efficient frontier. Indifference curve and utility curve are different concepts altogether. An efficient portfolio is only one portfolio, but we are here referring to a set of portfolio, so that becomes efficient frontier. So this would be the answer. We move on to question number 7, which is about a portfolio as a portfolio manager, you are evaluating to add another security to your portfolio. The correlations of the 5 alternatives with existing portfolios are given below. Which security would you choose if objective is the highest level of risk diversification? When we want to diversify, we will choose a security which has -1 correlation, because that will help us to reduce the portfolio risk. So the highest level of risk diversification can happen with -1. The next question is question 8. It says if there are 3 securities in a portfolio having equal weightages, what would be the portfolio return if the return of the individual securities are 10, 12 and -9%. So how do we work on this? You take 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3 as the allocation, and then multiply 1 by 3 with 10% plus 1 by 3 with 12% plus 1 by 3 with -9%. The other way could be that you add 10, 12 and 9. So 10 and 12 is plus 12 is 22, minus 9 is 4. It would come out to be 13. And if you divide 13 by 3, you will get a response which is, or answer, which is 4.33. So we can go with 4.33 as the answer here. Let us move to question number 9, which says what will be the portfolio risk? Okay, if two assets in the portfolio have return of 12% and 8%, standard deviation of these securities is 20% and 15%, and both securities have equal weightage, and correlation between the two securities is 0. So here we will use the Harry-Markowitz formula. And if we use the Harry-Markowitz formula, we will assign weightage of 50% and 50% to both the portfolios. Since correlation is 0, we will not factor in the correlation impact at all. And the answer, if you work on it, will work out to be 12.5%. Okay, so that's the answer that we will get. And that is logical also, as part of the derivation of this solution. Let us move further and look at the last question, which is the 10th one. A risk blank investor on the other hand evaluates the investment opportunities solely on the basis of expected return with no regard to risk. So here the answer would be a risk neutral investor. So risk neutral investor, unlike risk seeker, does not look at risk and return. He just looks at investment opportunities solely on the basis of expected risk, because that investor is basically risk neutral. So with this we complete 10 questions of this module. Thank you for your time. If you have any doubts or if you want any help, please write to me on healthofmywealth@gmail.com. Thank you so much.